but in Malaysia in specific, like design and art is seen as a very kind of low class job. So they don't pay you very well. One time I remember applying for an internship in a Malaysian firm, and then they offered me like 500 ringgit, which is like I don't know how much that is, like $100 or something or less.
Wow.
Yeah. But basically, like, you don't really get a lot of kind of respect. Like, I'm not talking about like, oh, you have to like admire me or anything, but the basic respect is not there, because a lot of times people would just ask you for free stuff. They think your labor is not worth the money. Yeah, so because of that, I had to go overseas. It's one of those things where it's just like, oh, unfortunately, I can't make it work here. Or if I do make it work here, I will suffer a lot for no reason. While in overseas, at least if you do it as a profession, you still get paid like at a proper rate. You have people would be like, oh, you're a designer, that's pretty cool. Not like, oh, you're a designer, wow, you couldn't make it to science, huh? You can't do math, huh? Yeah.
That was a big thing, essentially, like in school. Pretty much, you would go into different what do you call it, like streams of education. So a lot of the straight A students will end up in the science stream, and if you sort of fail to make it there, you'll end up in the art stream. It's a really horrible mentality to still have 200 years after the Industrial Revolution, when we're moving so much into uh, mechanization and all these things. Like, we haven't really gone out of the ideology that uh, we're here as laborers, which is very strange. So if you're Asian and you're not going into the big five, I can, at the top of my head, remember four only at the moment, which is lawyer, doctor, engineer, accountant, and the other one, which I can't remember. Essentially, you're not good enough, because that makes the big bucks. Because what are people trying to do here, essentially, as a third world country, is move up the capitalist ladder. So as an artist, I find that when it comes to art, people forget that the really prominent artists had time, had a lot of money for themselves, and had somebody else do the emotional labor and, housekeeping and stuff, that allowed it, that afforded them the ability to pursue arts, to pursue poetry, to pursue writing, which doesn't translate if you're in Asia, which is very strange.
And also,
Yeah.
there's what you were saying, Sha, like the whole splitting into science stream and art stream thing. That was always very. I think it was embedded in my mind that if you can't do science, then you get shoved into arts. That was until I went to university, because I went to SCAD in Atlanta, and I found out some of my professors used to come from science degrees. I knew like a friend who was in Brown University doing like some sort of bioscience, and she quit because she's just like, oh yeah, no, like I can do it, I just don't want to do it. And I did arts instead, and it's just like, oh my god, smart people do art too. It's not just that you have to do art because you're dumb.